time off from their current British tour to come and be with us tonight to perform a song that's near and dear to my heart. It's Kid.
Kid, what changed your mood? You got all sad, so I feel sad too. I think I know.
And from there, it just seemed. I mean, was you aware of how quick it was going? I mean,
Well, of course you're not, because you're young. B, you haven't got time to take a shit. You know, really, you're just going out there and playing and doing what you've wanted to do all your life.
I mean, third single was number one.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
you
right.
got
The
it.
first number one in 1980, along with the album.
Yes.
And we didn't knock Chirpy Chirpy Cheep Cheep off the top of the pops. We knocked off Another Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd.
Right.
There you go, Nick. What up?
And also, the album just called The Pretenders. That was brassy.
Well, it was imaginative, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you know, people wait. George Harrison waited 13 albums before he called an album George Harrison. It is.
Yeah, but it that's it. Pretenders, you know. And we go out and play the album. I mean, that was probably the best time was going out on the road with that. And the name Pretenders, I mean, I remember seeing the Beatles the first time. I thought, what the hell's that? Beatles. It doesn't matter. It just becomes this
No, it's good.
handle in the end, doesn't it? And you know, as a musician, what you want to do is play in front of audiences, and thank God it's come back to that now, where the value in it is actually live performance. It always was. You're either good at it or you're not. Really,
And then,
the
say
real
number one, he was arguably the biggest band, along with the Jam. I think bigger than the Clash. The Clash, they never had number one. I think he was the first band of that. It wasn't punk era, and it wasn't quite new wave. It was like 1980, 81 was a weird era, but it was a great band.
Oh, not half, yeah.
And so you was ahead of the pack totally, and then it all started to unravel in spect. I'm not saying like you lived a rock and roll life thing, but because that's such an
But
easy
we did.
way for someone like me to go, oh, he's lived a rock and roll life. But as a band, that went a little bit.
It's that old scenario. How do you come down from it? Well, you don't.
Well,
you
obviously
stay
we're
on the
talking
wave.
about-
You stay on the wave, and that goes along with
Yeah.
drinking and all the rest of the shenanigans.
Obviously, we're leading up to Jimmy dying, which was a shock. You know, we was used to the rock and roll deaths of the 60s, you know, Brian Jones, Morrison, Janis Joplin. And then there was a clean-up period, it seemed like. And you guys suddenly go, no, there isn't, because our guitarist is already dead. You've already sacked your bass player, Pete.
Yeah, on the Monday, and Jimmy was dead Wednesday morning.
Yeah. I mean, what happened?
To lose one band member could be considered unfortunate. To lose two, sheer carelessness. But unfortunately, it was the way it worked. And Pete, unfortunately, was becoming a bit obnoxious and too loud in rehearsals, and we couldn't rehearse.
Yeah.
No band.
But nobody...
Jimmy said, if Pete's still in the band, I'm leaving. We had no choice, and I tried to think of everything. But so on Monday at the meeting with Chrissy, we said, okay, we passed it on to management. Pete was sacked, and then Jimmy died within 36 hours.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I mean, in this day of total media scrutiny on the likes of the One Direction, all that stuff was kept pretty quiet. That even a member of a band as big as the Pretenders was sacked. That never made any.
Well, no, it's the way. Chrissy has never enjoyed anything other than the music. But we are in an industry where you have to try and sell yourself, and we never really gone out of our way to do that. She's never had cameras about. She's never had people interviewing all the time, documentaries being made. We just want to have a quiet life and go on the road and play. And I get that big time. But at the same time, it would have been good to have all that kind of support, because we could have done more, a great deal more. But
Do you think if you had that sort of scrutiny that Jimmy wouldn't have died? And I remember, I don't know if I spoke to, or hearing Pete Farnan saying at his funeral that everyone was looking at him and saying like it should have been you in that coffin because he was out of control. Was he that bad?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, we haven't got enough time to go into the depths of it all, but of course, as you can imagine, upon Pete's death, I wasn't allowed to go to the funeral. Neither was Chris Thomas went, who was the producer in the
What
albums
happened?
at
Why
the time.
wasn't you allowed to go?
Because
he'd been sacked.
everything was in denial. You know, Pete wasn't a junkie. Neither was his wife, who subsequently died.
No.
You know, it was all denied. So we were the bad people. So that was hard to take because I was very friendly with Pete. Right, even after Jimmy's death, I kept his bike at my place because he had nowhere to keep it. He had a lovely Triumph Bonneville, and it was hard work. I tried to stay in touch with Pete best I could, but it's just the way it worked. It's the way it worked.
Listen, we had heard rumors that there was possibility of you finding another drummer to complete the tour. Was that ever really true, or is that just hearsay?
No, that's absolutely and unequivocally out of the question. There's no way that we could replace this man because he's the only guy that can...
Is that you, Pete?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me. Look, here I am. No, nobody could replace Martin. I mean, he's too big a part of the show. I mean, he's not just a drummer. In the way that I'm just a bass player, he's not just a drummer.
Well, you're not just a bass player either.
They could replace me. I mean, you know, you could do my job, but nobody could do Martin.
Yeah, it's very nice.
So it's all of that is a can of worms, really. I mean, it takes an awful lot longer than time we've got now to explain all the facets of that particular year, 82, 83. And I've been dealing with it ever since because they were my best friends. And Jimmy had become a bit of a songwriter with Chrissy, so there was a team there. So, you know, upon Jimmy's death, Chrissy got straight out of town and tried to avoid it. I, on the other hand, had this beautiful nearby town of Hereford had the front page in news, James Honeyman Scott, pretended guitar player dead, with a picture of me. Thank you.
Well, maybe that's your picture in the attic.
It's an immense area, one of which I find difficult to let go of completely. It's always there. I still dream about them. It's amazing. I see them in queues at the canteen, you know, with the stage gear on, with a tray. And I always say the same thing. Where have you been? Which is quite common apparently, but I do see them. I still shake my fist at them. But those days, I mean, we may only have had nearly 4 years, maybe 3.5 years, but boy, it was good. When it was good.
Yeah.
Just great. Luckily, there are some shows that catch Up the Neck. There's a great version of Up the Neck where we're just flying and there's a bit of an arrangement with guitar going on, then it goes down and Pete does something and then it just gets right down and then it's, from Chrissy, and we're back to, the final chapter. And that was jamming. That was as good as it gets by any band, and I was part of that. And it was like, that's what I've always wanted to do. We got a great band now, so let's get back there again.
Now the reason we're here, every man, every woman, is to help each other, stand by each other. When love